Hello, everybody.
Good evening.
Hello, hello. All right, so I'm Talita Dodson,
I'm Revelle Rivers.
and we're sisters
Sisters
showing
showing important
important
support.
support. Make sure you like, share, and follow our page. Our Facebook it is showing important support, and then we have our YouTube channel now. Glad to have that, and that's also showing important support. This way, you can get notification of any upcoming events that we're going to have. The disclaimer is we are two sisters, not acting in the capacity of professional, but as sisters who suffer from anxiety, sharing our experience, opinions, and coping techniques. This is not to be used for diagnosis and treatment. If you have any issues, please seek medical advice. This disclaimer applies to any speakers, and also we don't own any rights to like a lot of the videos that we play.
Okay, so we're gonna have a dedication. This is our mom with her husband Alan, and they had a really good marriage.
Um, okay, so we're gonna do a mental health check. We haven't done that lately, but so we're gonna do that now. So how was your mental health check today, sis?
Well, my mental health check is good. We were very busy today at work. Tuesdays is our busy day, but other than that, everything went good. And again, like always, I keep a positive attitude.
Well, that's good to know.
How about yours? Sis?
Mine's is great. The devil like try to get busy in the way of things. So, I'm hearing that my YouTube we're not hitting on YouTube. So hold on one second. Let's make sure that it didn't come live on YouTube. Um, it should have. One of our moderators. Let me text her and make sure we're okay. Not showing on YouTube. Okay. Let me make sure. 'Cause we had to make some changes real fast. So, um, okay. Let's make sure our YouTube is showing. One second. Right here. Okay. Um, you're live. Okay, live on YouTube. Okay. Is Facebook okay, everybody? Moderator, can you let me know if about Facebook? Okay, I can see us here on Facebook. So,
Mhm.
okay, so we'll go ahead. Okay, my mental, like I said, yeah, my mental health check is great. So we're gonna ask you guys, how was your mental health check today? We can see and hear you on Facebook. Great. All right, so we're asking the audience, do you want to share your any like share how your mental health capacity is today? So we make sure that yours is good evening, Tanita. Tasha said we could see you. Tanita said we could hear you. Deborah said hello all. Okay.
Blessings to all.
Okay. Can you see? Go ahead and say those.
Anybody else? Laquita said we're good.
Anybody else on there saying anything?
Deborah said she's okay.
Great. Any other people? Just saying out.
And Tanita just said she was planning to Deborah Washington.
What did Deborah say?
Nene says she's awesome. Good. Good to hear.
We haven't heard from you guys in a while, so we want to because we've been
Um,
talking a lot.
whose life of
LBJ. That's Lilivia.
okay. I'm like, who is that?
Okay.
Anybody else?
Anybody else? I guess that's everybody, huh? Go on, oh, if I do full screen, then I won't. Oh, maybe okay, huh? All right, I'm not going to touch anything. All right.
No,
I don't want
please
to touch
don't.
any. I don't want to mess up anything.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So moving right along, we're going to introduce my sister. She's going to do a slideshow on mental abuse and a PowerPoint of interactions.
Okay. So we'll try to get this PowerPoint together.
Yes.
So hold on 1 second. Um, let me share a window. And our window, it's not the anxiety presentation. Why is that one showing up and my other one's not? Okay, let me get rid of this one. All right.
Okay.
Hmm. You see it? Where?
Yeah.
That's what I'm pulling up now.
Okay.
All right, 1 second. I'm gonna pull it up. Make sure we got it right this time. Now the other one showed up, but why this one didn't show up? Um, LJ, if you can come down and help me with this PowerPoint, please, that would be great. Let me see, mental health. Okay, those are the Chrome tabs. And my window, why this is not showing up, I don't know. And that's the thing, because that other one showed up, but that one didn't. Let's see, share.
Get them started over.
Yeah, just gonna be started. Yep. LJ, can you help us? All right, let's see. All right. All right, so go to Windows. That's the entire screen.
Where's the problem?
Right here.
Remember last time it was echoing. Go to the entire screen.
Okay.
I think you just might show everything.
That's okay.
Yeah, click it.
Oh, here?
Yeah. Sure.
So, is this, it's not sharing it.
You still not sharing?
Oh, let me see. Okay.
Look.
From beginning. Okay. It's showing it, but I don't want to show all those. I mean, what is that? All my slides?
Yeah, it should be changing now.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. All right. Good. We all can see. All right. So, as we told you, the topic today is on mental abuse. And you notice under the title I have the silent thief. And the reason why call it the silent thief because it comes in many forms. Mental abuse can come to you. It can be a spouse, it could be a child, a grandchild, it could be a sibling. And basically what it comes to do is to come to steal your mental, basically. It comes to steal your brain, believe it or not. It wants power over you. And thing of it is we cannot let that happen, right? Um, okay. Next slide. All right. So, what is mental abuse? All right. So, it's using threats, verbal insults. Let me see if my thing changed. Why it doesn't change? It can be, oh, there we go. It's got a delay for some reason. So the use of threats, verbal insults, and subtle tactics is to control basically the way a person thinks. And then abuse in general is basically it's a learned behavior, believe it or not. Some people witness it in their own lives, coming up from a family, friend, or anything like that. And then they develop these behaviors and they use them on other people. And then a lot of times too, they don't have control over what's going on in their lives. So it's always best if in their mind if they can control anybody else. Okay, so who are our abusers? Our abusers are, and for some reason the Facebook got a little lag. Our abusers are, believe it or not, parents and grandparents, spouse, children, grandchildren, siblings, teachers, and friends. Those can be our abusers. And then guess what? Who are our victims? Same people. They could be your parents, grandparents, spouse, um, or children, grandchildren, sibling, teacher. So as you see, anybody could be an abuser and anybody could be a victim. All right. So people ask the questions: why do these people abuse? Why do people abuse? Um, so abusive people, they believe they have a right to. They have a right to control you, um, and that's just that. They believe their own feelings, and they should be priority in a relationship, be it being in a relationship, be it be parent to child, or be it to be spouse in a spousal relationship, and so on. And so they use any type of tactics abuse, basically. And so basically, the reason they use these tactics of abuse is that because they want to dismantle you, basically. They want you to know or feel as though that you're less valuable, and and basically they want looking at it from a respect thing, that they want to be respected, but you don't deserve respect. In other words. All right. So, because I'll be using this terminology, gaslighting. Basically, gaslighting is basically manipulating a person, using psychological, mental things, methods, so that make you question your own insanity, whether or not, like, am I crazy or not? No, you're not crazy. All right. So, warning signs. So, there are several warning signs when it comes down to abuse, jealousy and possessiveness. And I'm just going to name off the things. Think we pretty much know what each one of those are. But it's basically jealousy and possessiveness, a controlling behavior, quick involvement. So that's 6 months. Let's get married. Unrealistic expectations, things that they know that many people can't meet, but they have a higher expectation, and just because you don't meet it, you're crazy. Another thing is isolation. They don't want to keep you to themselves, basically. They blame you for whatever problems, no matter what. It's always you. You're the problem. And also they blame others for the problem. It's never their fault. They blame others for their feelings. Basically, I feel this way because of you. You're hurting me, and things like that. These are tactics that they use to try to get your mental. Hypersensitivity, disrespect and cruel to others. Playful, using force during sexual activity. Believe it or not, they do that as well. Verbal abuse of any kind, rigid sex roles. They do the sex roles. You be um, Spider Man, and I'll be the Joker, and they come in to hurt you, basically. So, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, 1 minute they this way, the next minute they're, another way. Battering, you may hear the abusive person, someone say, it's a lie, or my ex was crazy. That's why we're not together, or things like that. You'll hear people say that. They may use threats of different things, and then it can become, later on, mental abuse can lead to physical abuse. It can lead to blows and things like that. And then basically any forced arguments, pushes, again, like I said, leads to that, and then they don't respect your property or privacy. And this information was shared by the Women's Strength Program. Now, six big signs of mental abuse. One of the big signs are name calling. So you get to calling you out of your name, stupid and things like that. If a person can't call you by your name, your government name, or your nickname, and they get to call you all kind of insulting names, that's considered name calling. And this slide uses stupid as for instance. Also, humiliation. So this is very common in abusive relationship. This is what they use, a way they use to control you. Basically, is they humiliate you. And so basically, what they do is, again, a mental abuser. They want control over you. So basically, like the slide depicts the puppet on the string, and how they get the puppet to move whatever arms and do whatever they want them to do. This is basically how a mental abuser is. They want you to be a puppet on the string. They want you to be under their control. Also, this is another thing, a big thing that they use. They use withholding love from you, attention and praise. They won't praise you and say, "Hey, your food is good today," or "You look nice today." You barely will hear that from your abuser, because again, they're trying to gain control, and they want to punish you for whatever. And again, they want to belittle you. So the abuser may refuse intimacy, communication, and this is your punishment. Um, so unfortunately, there's nothing that can be done, when the victim resorts to this behavior, because this is what he decides to result to result. But I always say prayer always works. So remember, some probably back in January we talked about the brain, and so this is a slide here depicts of the human brain here, and this is what they go after. Remember in my presentation before I told you this is the powerhouse; it controls everything, and so therefore, if your abuser go after that powerhouse, they can control every part of you, every part of your body, and that's their tactic. Remember also I said how your arteries and veins, because of the powerhouse, through the powerhouse, it provides all everything to your artery, through our arteries and veins. And so basically when you an abuser controls your powerhouse, it controls everything. It controls how you eat, how you sleep, if you let it control you. Put it like that. If you let it control you. It'll control how you eat, how you sleep. It'll tell you when to eat and when to sleep. It'll do all of that. So that's why it's best to not let anybody have power over you. You have power over yourself. If it ain't God having power in yourself, nobody else need to have. That's not a relationship. There's not a relationship with the kid. There's not, a parent-child relationship. There's not a relationship from a spousal either relationship. And remember, I showed you this also slide too when I talked about the brain. I told you how it sends power to the house. If you notice those lines and the power to the house, that kind of depicts basically how our brain works. And the thing of it is, if that your abuser, this is the type of abuse that your abusive control, your abuser would like to have. All right, so and if you notice, this house is power. Well, guess what? If you let a person take control over you, then they'll turn your license off and on when they want to, and you won't have no control of that basically, because basically you gave them the power. They're the power lines that's um that's lighting up the house and doing whatever. If you let them have control of it, then again, like I say, they'll just do it whenever they want. Okay, then they make threats. So they make threats. Maybe they'll take the kids away from you and things like that. This is used to gain control. And this can place terror and fear in the person and intimidation. And this is a power imbalance. And it gives the person an upper hand as other persons come under control. Now, turning tables. This is another sign. The abuser will place blame and cruelty on the victim. The abuser is also commonly used the tactics claiming that they were joking, and you just can't take a joke. The abuser also they would recruit people. They recruit their kids, co-workers, and different people because they need somebody, especially if they can't take control and empower you. So then they have to go out and get somebody else that can come in with them and they can help. So they can all take you down because they figure the more people they have, the more it look like you're the one that's crazy. Everybody else is saying, and you're crazy. And then they'll say, "Well, I'm going to cheat on you." They'll because the type of person that you are. Well, nobody deserves to be cheated on, no matter what type of person they are. Because if you don't like that person, then get out of the relationship. Or if it comes down to a parent, well, I just use the example of cheating, so that don't even matter when it comes down to a parent. Another sign is indifference, the lack of concern they show. So if they love to see if you're crying and things like that, and because of something they said, or pain because of being hit. This doesn't phase them because you're crying. It don't phase them at all. What it does is just give them more ammunition. They want to make you angry even more. It's just a trigger. So crying and all that is not. You figure, oh, well, if I cry, this person, no. All right. So what are the consequences when you go through mental abuse? PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder. We have eating disorders, anxiety and depression. I know people say, well, we talked about the topic about anxiety. Everything that my sister and I have mentioned from start one to start to this day, we wanted to bring all these other things in because, believe it or not, these causes anxiety in people, and again, which it can lead to depression, and then later on to suicide. And then the consequences that you can decline your self worth. Nobody should ever decline your self worth. You're worthy. You're worthy. You're worthy of everything, and don't ever let anybody try to take away your self worth. And then you have a skewed perceptions of a healthy relationship. All right. And so as you see, this picture here is depicting. I got the lady with the skin pulled back, and that's what mental abusers do. They don't. There, as you see, there's no physical scars there. If she let her skin go, you don't see no scars on the outside. They're all in the inside, and unfortunately, only the victim and the abuser sees those scars. But nobody else can see the scar with their naked eye. So that's why I put that slide there just to show you. And this is how that. This is why I call it the silent thief. How because they come silently where nobody else could see it or recognize it, and they'll treat you good in public. Sometimes in public or whatever, and you never know what is going on behind their closed doors. Um, Also, so regardless of any circumstance or relationship or past, no one ever deserves to be abused, and you're never responsible for your partner or anyone's abusive action. That's another thing. It's like, well, maybe I did something, or maybe no, 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 you didn't do anything. This is just a tactic of the abuser. Why do people stay? I know people ask that question. Well, if this person doing this, why do people stay? Well, one thing, people they get comfortable in the situation, or people pray and hoping that the situation changes. So beyond the physical risk of leaving an abusive relationship, there are countless and other reasons why people stay in their relationship. Survivors deserve to be supported in their decision making and power to reclaim control over their own lives, no matter what the circumstances is. So, what should victims of abuse do? Okay, so believe it or not, according to Flowers, this is a, a person that said this. Basically, they said they believe survivors are experts in their own relationship, and so therefore, meaning that you're the expert, you know what you're going through. Basically, abuse. Um, you can take, and get out of it. Basically, the bottom line is mental. This is what people need to understand because people think it's their fault. The bottom line is mental abuse is not your fault. It's no fault of you at all. And the reason why the experts say that she believed that the victim are the ones who are their own the victim is the person is the expert is because we can put out a slide and say do this, that. There is no one size that fits all responsible when it comes to dealing with the abuse of an abusive person. You have to deal individually with each person individually when it comes down to abuse. So there's no one size fits all. And as you see, the shoes don't fit this person. Um, so I want to see there. Do we have any comments so far up into this part about what I've discussed so far? Hmm. Okay. Any I'm gonna try to see if I can see any comments. Let me see. Um hmm. Yeah, I'm looking to see if I see any comments so far. Um Sounds like a pimp quality to me. Right. Bobby waving, Tracy, hello, everybody's waving. Okay. All right, so basically going back to where we start. Okay, so the question was how do we combat this basically? Trust your gut. It's over time. Emotional abuse makes it difficult to tap into your intuition. So if you trust in your gut, basically, and basically if you feel that there's something wrong in your stomach, and chances are it probably is something wrong. Know your hooks. There's always weaknesses. Or weak or soft spot, as they say, in your own psyche that an emotional abuser will exploit. And for instance, if it's easy for you to feel guilty, remind yourself not to make decisions out of guilt. If your weakness is giving him the benefit of the doubt, remind yourself that this is only works with non-emotional abuser, not an abuser, because they're going to exploit you no matter what. Trying to convince, this is one thing that abusers always do. They try to convince the abuser to see their side. It's probably a waste of time. 9 times out of 10, it's a waste of time. So don't even waste your time trying to get them to see your point because they will never see your point. You may try different ways to make your case, but it's not. You can't explain it to an abuser, and even an emotional abuser. Which my sister's going to go more into emotional, but these kind of go hand in hand. And some of the characteristics of mental abuse is emotional abuse as well. This much emotional abuse, they're never validated. So listen to or understood. They're left feeling lonely, confused, hurt. If you feel inclined to respond, that just says injustice. Now, key points. Make a decision to stop arguing with your abuser. That is one example of a healthy boundary. Remember, you can't set boundaries for anyone else, but you can set boundaries for yourself. So basically, if you come in here talking crazy, I'm not going to respond to any craziness. So you can't set a boundary for anybody else, but you can definitely do it for yourself. Also, when you're feeling defensive, try to disengage from conversation. Call a friend, journal, do something other than defend yourself. Remind yourself that you don't need to defend yourself because you didn't do anything wrong. The most effective response is not to even respond. That's the most effective. Any type of response can be used against you either now or in the future. They'll say something. So the purpose of using this emotional abusive language is not just to hurt you; it's also to make you look unstable and then blame you for supposedly being irrational. Remember to lean on your support system. Okay, need a safe place to stay, a listening ear, help finding professionals. Turn to a trusted person in your life that can help you because you really do need to talk these things out because again, they would have you like you're the one that's being crazy. And as you see all these different ailments that we have, okay, so you remember protect your head. Remember that's your powerhouse. You don't want to give people that power. Being an abusive is decision. It's a strategic behavior by the partner or the person that's doing it. And they do it to create a desired power over you. And so basically, if you protect that powerhouse what I mean by putting on a helmet, we're using these different examples that I have already explained in here in prayer also. And this right here is just a slide on the national domestic violence because we do know domestic violence is, huge. And there's also the domestic violence line that's there. All right, so now my sister's going to share on mental abuse versus emotional abuse. I'm going to end the slideshow because she's going to basically be speaking. Leave it there. Okay, she wants to leave it there.
So basically, I'm going to be talking about mental abuse versus emotional abuse. So they are very similar. The difference between emotional and mental abuse is emotional abuse targets a person's feelings and use emotions to manipulate, punish, and achieve control rather than personal sentiments. Mental abuses focus on questioning and influence a person's way of thinking and views on reality. Emotional abusers may try to make their victims feel as though they're unimportant or don't matter. It's common for them to dismiss accomplishments or take credit for success. They may also insult your hobbies or interests or use patronizing language to belittle you. Emotional abuse and emotional abuser goal is to undetermine another person's feelings or self worth and independence. So, 5 signs of emotional abuse: they are hypercritical or judgmental towards you. They ignore boundaries of or invade your privacy. They're possessive and or controlling, and they often dismiss you and your feelings. People may ask, is mental abuse grounds for divorce? However, if you are considering a divorce because of emotional abuse, you can file for a fault based on cruelty. Family law courts take any instance of abuse seriously, and fault based divorces can have lasting impacts on the guilty party. Well, what proof do you need for mental abuse? Written evidence such as emails and texts, social media posts, or private messages, and a psychological evaluation of you. So I had a friend long time ago that had told me that she was being mental abused, and she said, mental abuse is worse than physical abuse. And I looked at her. I said, "Oh, really?" She said, "Yes, it is." So I have some scriptures concerning marriages. So if anybody that is experiencing things like this as far as in a marriage, And this is basically for the man here. Proverbs 18:22. When a man finds a wife, he finds a treasure. Another verse says he finds a good thing, for she is the gift of God to bring him joy and pleasure. But the one who divorces a good woman loses what is good from his house. Matthew 9:19-6. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, whatever God has joined together, let no one separate.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna go to our audience and see if you guys have any questions or want to add anything that you guys experienced to this. We'd love to hear your comments and your engagement. All right. So I'll stop sharing my screen. Okay. So we're back up. Okay. And then I'll try because our comments are coming up a little smaller now. Let me see if I can have them come up over here now. Do the overlay. Hmm. I'll see if I can pull it up over here. I don't know why it only come over here. All right. So we're gonna try. Go ahead.
That's her. So Charles Lewis says, not just him, but her as well.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. That's why when we started, I don't know if you was at the beginning, but when we started, we talked about who are our abusers, and our abusers of is spouses, is women, it's children, because children can abuse their parents as well. It's grandchildren, it's a bunch. Oh, why it
Yes.
won't show up over here? Any other comments? Let me see. All right. Um, so I'm looking to see. Can you see any more comments at all? Um,
So Sharon says, it's hard helping someone who is being abused. No, she said, is it hard helping someone that is abused?
you said what? She said what? Said it again. I'm sorry.
It's hard helping someone who is being abused. Okay, that's what she
Okay.
said. Yeah.
Okay. Sharon, why do you say that it's hard helping someone that's been abused? And I'll move on to Nini's comment. Nini's comment says mental abuse is way harder to see it as it becomes people have been used to dealing with it without even knowing it. That's true. Any other comments or anybody else want to add to it? So I'll ask you guys a question. Why do you think that what is your opinion? What do you think about people staying into abusive relationships, abusive families, and things like that, or an abusive marriage? Like, why do you think people stay? And what are some things that you could say to a person that's going through abuse? I'm trying to bring this up because maybe we can see it this way. Um, okay. So let me see. What's the difference between mental abuse and ego? It is in chat. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's answer the other questions first. This word called some abuse. This word calls some abuse, love. I'm not understanding what you're saying, Chuck. This word calls some abuse, love. I'm not understanding. Can you explain more? Leave it
So,
only gets worse. That's what Quita says.
and Tanita says, because they hope things would change.
That's why people say they hope things
Mm,
will change. Okay. And then Sharon was following them because they really don't think their abuse is
not
not
that bad.
okay. You can read any.
And then he say, they are conditioned to think it's normal, or maybe you should try harder. Putting mental abuse with gaslighting is a circle.
Right. Okay. Then Quita said just because you aren't black and blue doesn't mean you're not hurting. Absolutely, because that's what we said is underneath. Tony says it's hard to get them to admit to set boundaries, right? So that's why they recommend you can't set boundaries for somebody else. You have to set boundaries for yourself. So
Yes.
basically, by setting boundaries, it only apply to you. That only the person, only the individual can set their own boundaries. You can't set boundaries for anybody else.
Yes.
And boundaries meaning I'm not going to lie. If you know that this person's um defense or tactic is to make you mad, then don't get mad. Basically,
Exactly.
um, Chuck says, sure you stay because you think you are in love.
Yeah.
That's true. Tasha, because people go ahead.
Tasha says because people have poor self-esteem and low self-confidence and don't realize that they deserve better. Yeah.
This is true too. That's true. Keep the comments coming because we really want to get this out to the public to make to so that people can see this
Yeah.
because this is a this is a way of helping helping people. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
What would you tell
And there's so many
somebody? But
people that's in this kind of relationship, like Sharon was saying, it's hard to get people out of it because they're thinking that it's not that bad and things like that. But it's not good. That's not a healthy relationship.
so a question for you. So, because we talk about, we believe in the Bible and Christians and things like
Hmm.
that. So when you mention about coming through a marriage, when you marry or
Right, right.
whatever, and I believe, God wasn't intended for anybody to be abused and stepped on and walked on.
Exactly.
So what are some things that you think a person that's, a Christian and going through it that they could,
Prayer, like always. I always say prayer works.
hmm
Prayer works, definitely.
okay. And then you just keep on praying and praying and praying and praying.
Yeah, and you can also seek help. I mean, you can go get counseling. They have marriage counselings,
hmm
so you can go to marriage counselors and get help that way too. Yeah. Oh, Deborah,
Deborah wrote a book.
she wrote
So Nene said,
wanting
wanting love for the people around the closest to you make you reevaluate your whole thinking. Absolutely. When boundaries are there. Or and then you go ahead and read Deborah's.
Okay, so Deborah says, no one ever knew I was mentally abused. For a couple of years after my mom passed, I was vulnerable for a few years. And mentally, I was healthy. I never shared it with anyone
I
but God.
wasn't mentally. I wasn't
Mentally, I
wasn't
wasn't
healthy.
healthy. I never shared it with anyone but God. But one day, I came home from school and looked at my children's faces, and I said, "That's it." I prayed and I prayed to the abuser. Yes, the abuser was gone. I put him out, and God stepped in. When people say you would never find anyone with those kids, you would never finish school, and so on, eventually breaks you down. But I thank God today.
Amen.
Amen. Yes.
And that's what they'll do. That's although they'll say don't nobody want you. You know what I mean? They'll say
Yeah.
that in the
Right.
minute. Or
Right.
they quick to throw those statements out there. And that's how you know that it ain't nothing but abuse. Tanita said the abuser also would give small gifts, little tokens that says, see what you can have if you stay with me. That's true too. I
Yeah.
know they try all those different tactics, to try to will you in. Because again, remember, they're powerless without you.
Yeah.
Even though they have a brain and a power and a powerhouse, they don't even realize it. So they think that if they could be the powerhouse, they think they could power you.
Right. And like you said before, they want to belittle you, make you feel small while they feel looking big.
Right.
And that's not it.
Right,
They're actually
because they're
small.
small, right,
They're
and
actually
that's
small.
why, and they need this
Yes.
to make you small. Is
Exactly.
one of the things that
Right.
is what they do.
Right.
Any other comments? And like you said, they were right. Yeah, they'll throw if you come into relationship, they'll say, "Oh, anybody wants you with those two kids," or you know what I mean, or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
They do that too. And if somebody can, if they're not speaking positive and saying that, oh, everybody will want you with those kids. I mean, you're
Hmm.
beautiful and you this, you that,
Right.
If they're saying
Right.
anything, things like what Deborah has displayed, then you know it ain't nothing but abuse. Abuse in every angle. Any other comments or anything? Go ahead, read that one.
Natasha says, typically emotional and mental abusers have multiple sides. Sometimes it's very good, and those are the moments you hold until when they flip and begin treating you badly. You wonder how it can be the same person. You doubt yourself. You question yourself. You flip flopping, causing you to doubt your reality.
And that's their tactic. Because the thing
Yeah,
of it is, they want you to think that you're the one that's crazy, even though mentally they're screwed up mentally.
right.
And so if they can make it that you're screwed up mentally,
Yes,
then they think they've won. They
right.
have achieved their goal. Because and there's a lot of people that's in mental institutions because of a mental abuser, and
Yes.
they really thought that they were the ones that was crazy and here all along. It was just your abuser.
Yeah, I had a friend that I mentioned earlier years ago. She was not big at all. She was a small girl, and but her mentally abusive person would tell her, which was her husband, was something that she was fat. So she always thought she was big and kept trying to lose weight, and do different things because he told her she was fat. And to this day, she still thinks she's kind of big or whatever. So it definitely messes with your mind. Because if you look at it, you look, why do you thought you was fat? Can't you look in the mirror and tell you're not fat?
Right.
But because of what he was saying, the mentally part.
Right. And they'll do that. They'll tell
Mm-hmm.
you you're ugly.
Mm-hmm.
They'll tell you, you know what I mean? They'll do that's the things that they do. And think of it is they don't want nobody else to have you, you
Right.
know. Yep, isolation, Tiny, is a big sign of abuse. So if you coming into a relationship and you with this person and they turn all your family and your friends and everybody, they turn you them they're the ones that's the problem. They pull you from them.
Mm-hmm.
That's like one of the worst things that you could ever do is become isolated because now they have you all to yourself. And then, one of the things that will help with abuse is they talked about journaling and
Yeah.
talking with friends. You have to talk. You have to talk to people. You have to
Yes.
talk to friends
Yes. Yes.
because they the ones that's saying, okay, you this, and they the ones that's giving you reassurance while your abuser is not assuring you.
Right.
And so if the abuser can get you isolated to just them, then you don't have no power. You don't have any help. They have all of you taking away some of your help by becoming isolated.
Yeah.
And that's a big sign. So you walk into a relationship and all of a sudden you ain't friends with Sally Joe, and so you've been friends for 50 years and y'all not
Right.
friends anymore because of that abusive person. That's a dead sign that they're clawing.
Yeah.
Any other
Anybody
thing?
else?
Those are good comments and suggestions and things that
Yes.
if
They
you
will
guys have
definitely
said
help.
something and we didn't
Nene said, I think prayer is big, but without work within yourself, prayer is not going to work. So the prayer is not so the prayer is not make the abuser stop, but give me discernment with knowing what I should do or how to act. Give me strength to leave if need be, and restore everything that tried to take. I think you have to be intentional with prayer and also act on it to the best of your ability. Yes.
increase or even feeling the need to self isolate. So right, so basically it ain't even if you self isolate, just get out. You know what I mean? Don't just you know what I mean? That I mean, if you're talking about self isolate, you have to self isolate when you're in a situation until you can get out,
Right.
basically. And then another thing, you know what? You should never, ever, ever, ever um, let a person make you happy. You should be happy within yourself. Because if you
Exactly.
look for people to make you happy, you're gonna be a sad Sue and a
Yes.
sad John.
Yes.
So you
Very,
have to
very
be
true.
happy. You have to be have confidence.
Yes.
You have to have confidence in yourself. No, this is how you beat the mental abuse.
Yes.
That be very confident. Be
Yes.
very matter of fact.
Because if people look for happiness out here, happiness is in here, and it's within yourself.
They can't see you.
Happiness is within yourself.
There you go.
It's not out here.
Even though they make you happy bringing you a present and a gift, hey, that's nice. But
But once that's gone, you still should be happy.
right, right. And then you have people that self medicate, to try to get away from the abuse. But when they come up off that high or whatever,
Hmm.
how they're self medicated, guess what? They still have that same problem, that same issue.
Yes.
Same problem, same issue. So, and think of it is, and they even through that domestic violence line that I provided, it's not just help because that you're being physically abused. They help with mental abuse with getting you some help.
Mm-hmm.
Putting somebody in, that could help you, and then sometimes, you don't have to have anybody else with you to go get counseling. Go get counseling for yourself because you're the one that's being abused.
Yes.
So, and they can help you,
Yes.
when you go and let you know that you're bigger than this, you're better than this, you don't need this,
Right.
those things. Now, it might have been some comments that came early on. It was coming through so fast that we didn't get a chance to comment on. So if you could restate it again, if we didn't comment, say your comment. So Quita says, what I mean is withdrawing from people to hide your abuse, or the effects of it. Perhaps choose to. You may notice your changes, so people tend to pull away to avoid being caught. Okay, gotcha.
And Nini says, mental abusers will be the people that break you down to be the person that you to pick up is a mind game.
Let me say that again. You don't.
Mental abusers will be the people that break you down to be
Mm-hmm.
the person there to pick up is a mind game.
Gotcha. Okay. Because that's all it is a mind game,
Oh yeah.
basically. That's all it is. And again, if they can get control of your mind, then guess what? They got you. Because remember, your mind controls everything on down. And if you
Yes.
get this part here, that's so Tasha say, that's why it's
This will pick you
important
up.
to do the work on yourself. When you know who you are and aware of your worth, it's more difficult to accept and tolerate abuse of any kind. Your peace is
Pieces.
priority over anything.
Yes.
That is so powerful. That is so powerful and so true. It's all about knowing your self worth. And you said Nene said pick you up.
Yeah, she said. Yeah, she meant pick you up.
Are we reading what you she got pick you up there? Okay.
Pick. It's,
Okay, so my God, yep. Any other thing before we move on? We appreciate your comments and things like that.
yes.
You want to add any question you want to ask the audience?
No.
Anything about anything or anything? Looking still see if any more comments is popping in.
Deborah said yes because I was told you can't make it on your own, while being told that I was planning his departure at that point, and I was smiling and happy, and he couldn't understand why I was happy with me.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And you have to have a game plan on plan it out on what you on your escape method on how you're gonna escape it. If it's a dealing with the relationship.
Right.
So this is my question. So what would you tell someone that's going through an abuse, and it could be a parent child, because parents, they say abusive things to kids as well,
Yeah.
like you're never going to be anybody, or nobody's going to ever, want you. Like, what's your advice in a situation like that to a kid, just in case any kids is watching this? What's your advice of what they can do, if anybody have any? Or do you think they pretty much stuck like Chuck, and there's pretty much nothing they can do about it?
Well, no one's never stuck. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
even though you're a child and you're thinking, okay, this is my parent,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to do what they say, do whatever, but you never stuck.
So what do- so what
You
do
got
you
grandparents, you got,
so they're going to a grandparent or
yeah,
somebody, like letting
exactly.
them
You
know
got
what's
other family
going on?
members.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Tony just said that as a kid, that's a hard one.
Yeah, that's a hard one, right? Because the thing of it is your parent do got control over you as a kid. They're your
Right.
powerhouse, and they're doing all your thinking and things for you. But if it's something that that's not right, you know what I mean. Yeah, my suggestion would be turning to somebody that you can trust,
Exactly.
another family member that you can trust.
Right.
even if it's not, or turn to a friend. I know we had a family friend many, many years ago that was being abused, but was being abused by their stepfather sexually.
Oh yeah.
And what wound up happening is she was right. She wrote a note to her friend, and they snatched a note from her, and the teacher snatched a note from her and read the note, and that's how they found out that she was being sexually molested by her stepfather. So, when she was a kid when that happened.
Yeah.
So, definitely, because a lot of times, so then especially with the generation that we have now,
Mm-hmm.
if you tell any of these millennials or Generation Zs, they'll be like, oh no, I'm gonna tell myself. I tell myself, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Whereas our generation, we pretty much like swept things under the carpet, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and wouldn't say nothing. We may tell our parents, and our parents wouldn't do anything about it. Just be like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Right.
Whereas the generation we have now, that's one thing I can say about Generation Z and Millennial, is I know that if a friend confided in them or came to them with something, they would definitely, tell
Yeah.
them how to get help or whatever. Any other things?
They would say, talk to someone. I didn't. That was a mistake I made.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the first thing. That's the first step. The first step to when you're dealing with any type of abuse,
Right.
be it mental, be it physical, is talking to someone.
Yes.
Because a lot of times, you see that you're the one that's like, oh well, I made him mad because I walked too hard. No, 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 no. And then he punched me. You know
No.
what I mean? You start to, like
Blame
second,
yourself.
right,
Mhm.
blame yourself, and it's not your fault. What Quita say?
Yes, I definitely encourage my son to speak up.
Go ahead.
And then he says, but when things are behind closed doors, and others see only the happy moments, when a person say they need to leave, I think they should be supported and not met with 100 questions of why or you should stick it out. It might be embarrassing to them and they don't want to explain their decision. They just want support. You never really know what is really going on.
And that's true. And then yeah, and sometimes people just want to know, am I supported? They may not
Right.
want to get in because some things that you may could be embarrassing for them to
Right.
say, of what you went through, what you're going through, and um they just want to be supported and what decision I make basically. And you're right, you never know what goes on behind, because personal close up because you can look at a million, you can be on YouTube, you can be on Instagram, and you can see a lot of stuff and be like, oh, they have a great marriage and a
Hmm.
great relationship. You only seeing it through you only seeing what they're showing you.
You never know what is going on, yep, behind closed doors. Exactly.
Right. And then you have to go back to those generations again. We were taught, to keep things within the house. You don't let you don't share things,
Right.
that's going on in your house. Whatever goes in your house, that stays in your house. Well, if it ain't right, sweetie, you better
Right.
let it out.
You want to talk to someone that you can trust and you know that's going to give you good advice.
Definitely.
Not no one that's kind of jealous of you and
Right. And gonna go
and,
spread everything
exactly.
of what you're going through. Right. You definitely don't need that. Do you think too, like some mental abusers could be jealous, have jealousy,
Yeah, most definitely.
jealous of where
Most
you are?
definitely, yes. Be jealous of your title, your work, what you do as far as work or whatever. Family,
Mm-hmm.
you have a good family, but I don't,
Right. Or
comparing each other.
mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Or you making more money than I'm making. I'm not.
Right,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Chuck said, absolutely. Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
And he said, I think that's the top tier jealousy. Yeah.
Right. Yep. They're jealous of who you are. They wish they could be like you,
Right.
wish they had what you had, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
the thing of it is you can. And then people don't realize in their marriage too, if I look good, you look good. If you
Right.
look good, I look good, you know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Right.
And because you're like supposed to be as
As one.
one,
Yep. That's what
right?
I said earlier. Yep. As one.
You as one. And so if you're as one, why are you looking at, why are you like, why are you so different or separating so different?
Right.
And then again, you have those ones that recruit their kids, or they recruit the outsider or somebody. They need somebody. If they can't take you down, they want to recruit somebody else to be against you to try to take you down.
Right. Deborah say for sure I had to cut a few people out of my life. That's right.
And you have to. And sometimes you do. You just have to just, no matter what, you just have to X them out. Nene said, but going back to kids, mental abuse, I think that's a whole topic in itself. It is. It's absolutely. And we are going to, because we're going to get back to the kids. We did the kid. I know we had some um, snafus, but we're going to revisit that with the kids because we definitely want them to know that there is help out here. You know what I
Yes, it
mean?
is.
You know, and there is. And that's a whole different topic because even when you talk about like abuse of some form with any type of kid, it's a different topic by itself
Right.
that you have to deal with on a whole different another level. Any other comments? So I guess we'll close it. um
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna basically close on a positive note. My positive note is I'm in. I've been married for it'll be 28 years this June, and I'm happily married. So I just want to say a perfect marriage, or you might want to say okay, it's not so much perfect, but a good marriage is just two imperfect people who refuses to give up on each other.
that's great. Okay, so my positive is both emotional and mental abuse can come out during a heated conversation or argument, and um, and just because it comes out into a heated argument doesn't just say um, I'm being abused or whatever. That's why they tell you don't say anything when you're angry or anything like that.
Exactly.
And then just always too, when you're thinking of saying something to anybody, even if you're not angry, play it over your mind first and say, hey, is that something that I'll be upset about somebody said to me? And if it is, then guess what? What? Don't say it, right?
Exactly.
Because it's abuse and you wouldn't like it. So do unto others as you would like done
Others to do
unto
to you.
you. Others to do unto you. And if you stick with that line, you can never go wrong because you never want to treat yourself wrong. And so if you don't treat nobody else wrong, you know what I mean?
Right.
You treat somebody like you would treat yourself, then there's some, you're winning. All right, our next
Okay,
session.
so our next section is going to be Tuesday, April the 4th, 2023 at 7 p.m.
Okay. And so make sure you guys log in there on again, like she said, Tuesday, April 4th. And we'll see you then. We'll see Tanita say great topic tonight, ladies. Thank you. Tracy said,
Tracy said, thanks, ladies, and everyone. Good show.
oh,
Thank you, Tracy.
thank you. And okay, make sure you make sure you share this video. Put it, I mean, everybody, because we when we close, we only have a few people that share. Everybody should, especially should be sharing these topics because again, you may not be experiencing or going through these things, but somebody else may. And if they come across that video and see that, then they can be like, wow, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And we're just trying to get all this stuff out to the public. Um, what it says.
Sharon said, thank you. Deborah said, take care all. And Jocelyn Wade said, great
Just
show.
Joyce, great show, great. Thank you, and we see you guys. So we're going to every other week. Um, so we'll see you guys back week after next with another topic. And again, like I said, please please share. When we put it out there, we'll have the topic that we're gonna deal with on the next time. Thanks again for joining in and tuning in with
See you
us.
guys later. Have a
And
good night.
we'll see you later. Have a good night. See you later.